Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode number 171 is Shapes, Pieces, and Parts. This is a continuation from last week. Great information for beginners, but experienced quilters can learn something too. Many laugh that us quilters take large pieces of fabric, chop it up into small pieces, and sew them all back together again. And yes, that is what we do. But how do we get there? Let's start at the very beginning. We start with fabric from the bolt. I'm not talking about pre-cuts today. This is all fabric from the bolt. And what do? We cut strips from that fabric. We cut off the bolt. Width of fabric usually. And then we use those strips either for whole strip sets or we take those strips and subcut them. What do we subcut them into? All the things we learned in geometry. Squares, rectangles, triangles. They could be 60-degree triangles. They could be 45-degree triangles. Diamonds, same thing. 45-degree diamonds, 60-degree diamonds. Now, you will find some patterns that they're not those standard sizes, but mostly they are those two sizes. Hexagons. There are hexagon rulers, but normally, I shouldn't say normally, many times we make hexagons up from 6 60-degree triangles. Octagons is another shape that can be cut. Generally, there aren't rulers for octagons. There may be some out there, but most of the time you will make octagons with 8 45-degree triangles. So besides cutting shapes from the width of fabric strips, you can also make strip sets, and then you can take those and cut them into anything. Here's an old strip set that I made for a quilt, and I would make this strip set and then just cut this into pieces the subscribed width and use them. They can really be cut into any shape. This is a wedge shape that we would use in our Christmas tree skirt. And you could also cut circles. You could cut any shape and use it like an applique piece or piece it into a project. So there's a lot of things you can do with strip sets that many people don't sometimes consider. Let's take a break and we'll move to the next whiteboard. Okay, now I'm back to what are we doing with our subcut pieces from the original cut strips width of fabric. And probably the most common unit we make are half square triangles. And one of my commenters from last week said that she didn't know what I meant by 2 at a time or 8 at a time. So I'll go through that now. You can do, first of all, 1 at a time, where you take 2 pieces of fabric and cut a triangle and another triangle and sew them together. Most people don't do it that way anymore because it's more convenient. It's easier to do at least 2 at a time. And 2 at a time would be where you take 2 squares, put them right sides together, draw a line down the center, and then sew a 1/4 inch on each side. And then you cut on that drawn line, and then you have 2 half square triangle units. 8 at a time would be where you take 2 pieces of fabric, right sides together, and you draw diagonals, and then you sew on both sides of each of these center lines, and then you cut here, you also then cut here and cut here, and you get 8 half square triangles. Deb Tucker does have, as she calls it, 8 at once sheet, technique sheet that you can get that gives you all the math. if you're good at math, you don't need the technique sheet. You can figure out how big you need to make these squares to get the size half square triangles you want. Now, what ways can we do this besides the 2 at a time and 8 at a time? There's specialty rulers. Of course, my favorite is Deb Tucker's Tucker Trimmer. It comes with varying sizes on it. You can also do paper. There's thangles and triangles on a roll. That's kind of old-fashioned. I, in fact, had a customer call maybe 10 days ago and asked if we had thangles. And I said, that's kind of old-fashioned. We don't make them that way anymore. Who wants to peel off all that paper? That's kind of a pain in the neck. So if you like it that way, don't not do it because I'm saying it. If you like triangles on a roll or thangles, you should do what way works for you. But I much prefer the ruler methods. Quarter square triangles is maybe the next most common unit. And then again, too, you can use paper, the thangles and triangles on a roll, or it's still the same Tucker Trimmer ruler that does quarter square triangles as well. And in this technique, you just take 2 sets of the half square triangles and then sew them together in the same fashion and cut them, and you get your quarter square units. It's easy if you just follow the directions in whichever method you choose. There's lots of rulers for these. I've showed you my favorite Tucker Trimmer. There's block lock. Some of the block lock you can do varying sizes in, but some of the block lock are size specific. And so that can get expensive to buy a whole lot of rulers for every size that you want to do. Whereas the Tucker Trimmer, I think this one covers 11 different sizes. Yeah, it covers 11 different sizes, the one I showed you, of both half square triangles, quarter square triangles, and combo units. Quilters Select has rulers for the quarter square and half square triangles, and Creative Grids does. So what you need to do is find which one you like the best. Another break, new whiteboard. Another super common unit we make is flying geese. And that's simply a quarter square triangle with 2 half square triangles on the side. When I first started quilting, you actually took a square of fabric, cut it into quarter square triangles, and then took another square and cut it into half square triangles and sewed them on. It was extremely difficult to get perfectly sized pieces every single time. And you always had to be sure that you had this 1/4 inch beyond this point before you sewed it into your next piece. And I had a lot of cutoff points. Now we have so many things that help us. Eleanor Burns has her flying geese rulers in a couple of sizes. This one I had never heard of before. Maria showed it to me. It's called Fit to be Geese. And there's this large size and a little tiny size that comes with this pattern. And this is sort of similar to the Deb Tucker method of where you cut a little oversized and then trim down. So, and these are not the only ones. I'm pretty sure Creative Grids has a flying geese ruler. I just, like my Deb Tucker. Hers is called Wing Clipper. It comes in a couple of different sizes, comes in 1/2 inch, comes in the standard sizes, comes in the in-between sizes where there are quarters and 3/4. You just have to make sure you get the size ruler that works for the project that you're doing. And again, it covers many sizes. Like this one, this standard one comes 10 different sizes. So again, it's finding what works for you. Another very common unit that quilters make to put into quilts is square in a square. Jody Barrows had rulers on that years ago. People found that it sometimes wasted a lot of fabric, but there's nothing wrong with still using that method if it works for you. Another variation of the square and a square is the economy block, where it's a square and a square and a square. And Deb Tucker has a technique sheet on that too, where you use her ruler to do the additional square around. You can also, you'll see people do square and a squares by making this 4 half square triangles, which I prefer an unseamed centerpiece here, but you could, if you look at it like this could be 4 half square triangles. So you can do that, but it's more seams, more work, and it breaks up that center square. The next one I want to show you is what Deb Tucker calls the V block. Doreen Speckman called it peaky and spike. Many now call it triangle in a square. I think that's probably the most common name now. But this is the block that you see that gives an illusion of movement of circles in a quilt. So this is a real fun block to use. And Deb Tucker, of course, has her V-block ruler. There's many other rulers out there that show you how to cut these side triangles and the center triangle. And the one thing to remember on these side triangles, and there's other units in quilting too, beginners, remember this one. When they're like this, they're right and lefts. You can't take this one and put it on this side. It won't work. So you have to be careful when you're cutting these that you have your fabrics either right sides together or wrong sides together when you cut them, so you get the numbers of lefts and rights that you need. But this is a great block. But again, in the olden days when we cut a center triangle and 2 side triangles and sewed them together, it was very difficult to get them to come out right. But with the rulers now, it's much easier to get accurate pieces to put in your projects. So what I would say to beginners who say, what's the best method? The answer is the method that works best for you. How do you find that out? Well, you don't want to go out and buy 6 different flying geese rulers and then decide. That would be an awful lot of money to spend just to find out. So my suggestion is go to your local quilt shop and ask them what they have, what they like, and maybe ask them to show you how it works. You got quilter friends, or you don't have quilter friends, maybe you want to join a guild so you can find quilters friends, but you could ask to try theirs and see how theirs work for you. You can watch YouTube videos and see if there's a better method. I just saw YouTube yesterday that was showing a different way to do foundation paper piecing, that you didn't sew through the paper, and so you could use a regular stitch length and rip the paper off without having to go through all the stitching. All the part of the foundation paper piecing that's not my favorite is ripping the paper off the back. So there's always something to learn. There's always a new technique. There's always something to see out there. And then after you look at the technique, whether it's your friend, your local quilt shop, or YouTube, you decide for yourself what works for you. And that's my best advice to new quilters and experienced quilters. Just because your best friend likes doing it this way doesn't mean it's the best way for you. You have to decide for yourself how you like to make your project. That's today's episode. Let's get to the winner of the giveaway. The winner of the charm packs is Karen Lindemann -I4G. please send your mailing address to quiltersheaveninc@gmail.com and I will get those charm packs out to you. The new giveaway is a repeat. The first time I offered it, no one claimed the prize. So here they are. It's two 10-inch square packets from Anthology Fabrics. They're batiks, and they are in the cardboard now, but they won't fit in the padded envelope with the cardboard on it. So the winner, it will get cardboard taken off and folded in half and mailed to you. So you know how to enter to win these. First, you want to like my video. You want to comment on my video. And you want to subscribe to my channel. And in the comments, write 10-inch squares. And you will be entered to win. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please keep the comments coming. I've gotten a few good ideas for future videos from your comments. I really appreciate them. So until next time, happy sewing.